Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here back in another video, and today we return with college football predictions. As today we're going to be talking about the LSU Tigers. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And heading into this year, LSU has so much eyeballs looking at them this year, and people I think are kind of underestimating this LSU team. As we know, Ed Orgeron stepped down from his head coach position, and they brought in Notre Dame's head coach in Brian Kelly. And that move right there was one of the most mind-boggling coaching choices or coaching moves throughout the entire offseason. Everyone thought Brian Kelly was just going to be a Notre Dame head coach for the rest of his career, and that's a no. He went down to Baton Rouge, a nice change of scenery, and he is now the head coach at LSU. And this defense is going to be amazing this upcoming season. But let's hop into this offense real quick. The quarterback battle was very interesting, but actually the day of this recording, quarterback Miles Brennan, a redshirt senior for LSU, decided to step down from the game of football after being told he was not going to be the starting quarterback for LSU. Now, I'll let you have your own opinion on that, but personally, I kind of understand it. So with that choice right there, I'm almost confident this quarterback job is going to be won by Jayden Daniels. He transferred in from Arizona State. He's been really good at Arizona State, but I think he's going to do some big-time things at LSU. Maybe not a top 5 or 7 quarterback in the SEC, but I expect him to do pretty well under this offense. This running game, I think, is going to be much, much improved. You have John Emery Jr. coming back for his senior year. Noah Cain transfers in from Penn State. He's going to be a lot more involved. You also got Armani Goodwin and Trey Bradford. They could also be involved. But this wide receiver core, my oh my, it's underrated. Kayshon Boutte. I'm a humongous fan of Boutte, and I think this man is going to be amazing this upcoming season. I was about to say break records, but we know what Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase did in 2019. I highly doubt Boutte is going to be up to their level, but Boutte is going to be really, really good. Definitely going to make an all-SEC team if he stays healthy. Malik Neighbors is also really underrated. I think he's going to do good this upcoming year. Jack Beck, he's coming in from his sophomore year. He's kind of like a wide receiver tight end hybrid. It's always fun to see how he's utilized in this offense. He's going to be really good as well. You have Kyron Lacey transferring in. Also, you have Jeray Jenkins and Brian Thomas Jr. and Chris Hilton. This wide receiver core is good and deep. Jayden Daniels is going to have lots and lots of weapons. This offensive line is pretty good. You have a few transfers, and also you have a true freshman potentially starting in Will Campbell. And I think this LSU offense is going to be much improved off of what we saw last season. This defense is amazing, in my opinion. I am a humongous fan of B.J. Ojulari. I think he's going to be all SEC this upcoming year. I think he's going to be one of the best edge rushers in college football this upcoming season. Also, outside of Ojulari, you have Ali Gay, Jaquelin Roy, Mason Smith all returning. This defensive line is going to be scary in the SEC. And also behind him, you have Mekhi Wingo transferring in from Mizzou. He could have a day one impact at that defensive tackle position. You have Xavier Carter and Desmond Little also coming off the edge. Quincy Wiggins as a true threat. I can go over tons and tons of names. This LSU defensive line is absolutely crazy. The linebacking core is pretty good as well, as you have Mike Jones Jr. returning, Greg Penn, West Weeks transfers in. Colby Fields also transfers in. You have a 5-star linebacker, true freshman in Harold Perkins. He could potentially be starting day one as well. And with this entire LSU defense, it's so deep, it's crazy. The secondary is probably going to be the quote-unquote weakest part of this team, but it's not even not. There is tons of transfers in the secondary, though. Your main cornerback in Eli Ricks actually transferred to Alabama, but man, you got some guys to replace him. Sevyn Banks transfers in from Ohio State. He's a graduate senior. Jarek Bernard Converse transfers in from a great Oklahoma State offense last year. Quad Wilson comes in. Mekhi Gardner transfers in from Louisiana. At safety, you have Jay Ward coming back. He was one of your top defensive players last year. Major Burns returns after being hurt last year. I can just go over tons and tons of guys. I can just go on and on with the amount of depth on this secondary. It's absolutely crazy. And that's why I think LSU is getting underrated so much. Besides Boutte and Ojulari, in my opinion, there's no superstar that pops off on this roster. And with the amount of coaching and the depth on this team, LSU is definitely getting underappreciated entering this season. And as we go into the schedule, you have some big time games, especially in conference. But that first game is a quote unquote neutral site game versus Florida State. It's in New Orleans. This is mainly going to be LSU crowd. And I'm not high on Florida State this year. This is definitely going to be a game that everyone's going to be watching because you have a brand new staff at LSU with the amount of talent. And also you have a staff that's basically, all of them is basically on the hot seat at Florida State. And both teams have tons of talent. But personally, I think LSU has the better coaching staff, the better talent. And overall, this is basically a home game for LSU. I have LSU winning this game. And personally, I would not be surprised if this gets a little out of hand come the fourth quarter. Next game, you host Southern, and this may be a good band battle, but LSU definitely has the advantages on the field. LSU wins this game at home. Then you start conference play with the home game versus Mississippi State. If this was in Starkville, this would be a 50-50 game. But since it's in Baton Rouge, I think this LSU crowd is going to come prepared in this one, and I think LSU is going to win this game at home. Next game, you host New Mexico. I'm not going to waste your time. LSU will win that game. And then you have your first true road test at Auburn. And personally, I think this is going to stumble Brian Kelly a little bit. I have Auburn winning this game. You will learn eventually, but I'm not a big Auburn fan this year. But I do think at the end of the day, Auburn and Jordan Hare is going to be very hyped up in this game. This is going to be a pivotal game on their schedule. As at this point in the season, they could be 5-0. This is probably going to be that CBS 3:30 game of the week. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think since Auburn's at home, they're going to win. And if this is going to be Brian Kelly's first SEC loss. Next game, you host Tennessee. And this is going to be another very intriguing game. This is going to be a fantastic test for both sides. I have LSU barely defeating Tennessee at home, though. I think this Baton Rouge crowd is going to come prepared. Like I said about the Mississippi State game, it's going to be a close game. But I think Brian Kelly is going to outcoach Josh Heupel in this one, and LSU will find a way to win this game. Next game, you have a very tough road test at Florida. And if you saw my Florida predictions, I actually have LSU going on the road and defeating the Gators in this one. I think Brian Kelly's just not going to want to lose back-to-back conference road games. And I think LSU is going to come prepared in this rivalry game. And they're going to find a way to go on the road and beat the Gators at home. Next game, you host Ole Miss. And personally, I don't see any way Lane Kiffin goes into Baton Rouge with this atmosphere and finds a way to win, as I have LSU winning another game. And now up to this point, you are 7-1 as you enter the bye. And then you have that big time game, home versus Alabama. And this last 4-game stretch is pretty hard. Even that non-conference game could be tough. You host Alabama. I think Alabama is just too powerful. They have the coaching edge. They have the players' edge. Yes, the crowd's going to be there for Baton Rouge. Maybe it's a close game, but I think Alabama will eventually pull away and find a way to win this game. Next game, you're at Arkansas. And this is going to be a very tough game. Arkansas has a tough schedule, but I think Arkansas, they're very talented. This is a 50-50 game. If you know this channel, if there's a 50-50 game, I always lean towards the home team. Arkansas is the home team in this case. I have Arkansas defeating LSU at home, and that's back-to-back losses for LSU. Next game, you host UAB, and yes, they're probably going to be a top 10, 15 group of 5 team. That doesn't mean they're going to go in the Baton Rouge to defeat this Tigers team. And to end the season, you're at Texas A&M. And personally, this is a 50-50 game. Whoever would the home team be in this case, I would have, because both of these atmospheres are absolutely crazy. A&M hosts LSU in this one, so I have A&M winning this game. And to end the season, I have LSU going 8-4 for this upcoming season, with losses at Auburn, home versus Alabama, at Arkansas, and at Texas A&M. But you do have some big-time wins versus Florida State, Tennessee, on the road at Florida, Ole Miss. You do have some big-time wins, and this LSU team is only going to improve upon Brian Kelly. The ceiling for this LSU team, in my opinion, is going to be 9-3. This conference schedule is very, very tough, and you're probably going to have to get 3 losses in conference. Or if you only lose 2 conference games, you will lose versus Florida State probably. The floor for this team, if everything goes wrong with this coaching staff and Brian Kelly and with the tough schedule, the floor for this team will be 5-7 in my opinion. What is your predictions for LSU this upcoming season? Like always, like, share, subscribe, push notifications on so you don't miss any of my videos. And like always, have a good day. Peace out.